Alright, so to get us started off, I want you to stand with your feet more or less about shoulder width apart. Okay? And then you're going to place your hands out to the sides like this. You're going to clench your fists, keep your thumbs facing forward. Alright? And now what you're going to do is you're going to imagine you're pushing your feet out. So your feet should be fairly close together, and then you imagine you're pushing your feet out. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, then bring your feet in even closer together. Okay? And then you keep the fists clenched, and then your thumbs facing forward, and we're going to do 40 rotations forward. Alright? Just hold those small little rotations like this. 40 rotations of these. Keep pushing those feet outward. So now what you're doing is activating the outside of the legs and the thighs and that, and the glutes, the bum area as well. And relax. Good. Okay, just lift the shoulders up, pull the shoulders back, push the shoulders down, push the shoulders forward, lift the shoulders up, pull the shoulders back, push the shoulders down, and push them forward. And one more time, up, back, down, and forward. And we're going to reverse the motion 3 times. Back, up, forward, down. Back, up, forward, down. One more. Back, up, forward, down. Very good. Okay, now, similar to the first exercise, we're now going to push our feet inward. And we're going to keep the hands up here like this, but we're going to turn the hands backwards, and we're going to rotate 40 times. And relax. Excellent. Okay, now I'm going to just swing the arms up, alternating, just lifting the arms up, swinging them up, and dropping them down to the side. Make sure you control the movement at the same time. Don't just let the arms flay and swing in all directions. Control the movement. Don't be lazy. Be more precise and be accurate in what you're doing and how you move your body. Okay. Very nice. Just listen up a little bit to shake it out. Get the body moving a little bit now. Okay? Now what you're going to do is you're going to stand with your feet again about shoulder width, hip width apart. And you're going to keep your knees slightly bent. And all we're going to do is you're going to hang down. Now if you're struggling with low back pain or tightness in the hips and stuff like that, just bend the knees a little bit, push the bum backwards, and then just slowly hang. Alright? Just so that you don't feel any strain in the back. You don't want the hips and the back pulling too much of this tightness thing. Okay, so just bend the knees as much as you need to and just hang down. Then you can take your elbows, interlock your hands with your elbows, and let that weight slowly pull you down even more. If you don't have any low back problems or any hip problems, then keep the legs straight and then just slowly drop. You don't need to lock the knees, just keep the legs straight. Okay? There's a difference, and you'll learn that as we go along the program together. Just slowly hang it. Very nice. And then bring it up. Place your hands on your legs if you need to. Slowly roll the spine up. Stand up straight. Good. Okay. And we just roll the shoulders a little bit. Just keeping the body moving while we're just taking some breathers in between each movement. Okay? Let's do that again. So keep the feet about hip width apart. Slowly come down, interlock your hands into your elbows, and then you can keep the legs straight or slightly or bend them, just as whatever's more comfortable for you. You want to be feeling a stretch in the back of the legs here, in the back area, the hips and the glutes, right? You want to be feeling some stretching there. And if you're feeling that pain in the low back, then just drop the bum a little bit, bend the knees, and you can still stretch the back in this position like this, okay? I'm going to take about 5 deep breaths for these movements. Approximately 5 deep breaths for each exercise, each movement, as we hold it close. Gently hold it. Alright, then slowly roll out the spine, stand upright, shake it out. Or roll it out, I should say. Okay. Last standing exercise for the time being, and then we're going to get down onto the mat a little bit. So we're going to interlock the fingers here, like this. You're going to keep the elbows tucked into the side of the body. So you may have seen people doing this kind of movement like this before, but what I want you to do is keep the elbows locked in. You're going to pull the hands apart. So you're going to literally try to force them apart. And as you do that, all you're doing now is you're just turning the body from side to side. And as you're pulling those hands apart, keeping those elbows locked into the side of the body, all right, you're now activating those deep core muscles here. You're activating those muscles. And now they, just by moving from side to side, you're not forcing yourself to move, just moving comfortably by pulling, and by pulling the arms apart from each other, it really activates those deep core muscles in the front, and also the muscles that protect the lower back at the back over here, and your obliques at the same time, because now you're twisting. We typically do about 8 of these on each side. All right, that's it. And relax. All right, let's get down onto the floor, onto the mat. Now we're going to do what we did yesterday with the day number 1, that is hands and shoulders apart. I mean, hands directly underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips. All right, everything's about perpendicular. And we're going to do the cat and cow, where we roll spine up, push it up like that, tuck the tailbone in, tuck your chin into your chest as a cat would. And then now we're going into the cow. Arch the back in the opposite direction, look up as high as you can, keep the arms straight. And then we tuck it in, squeeze the stomach muscles at the same time, and then push it back down to the floor. Looking up, squeeze. You may notice the lady walking with the dog. This is the thing when you're filming in public. You know, it's a Japanese garden, nice and quiet, early in the morning. People are out and about. One of the beauties of being in a place like this. And breathe. Squeeze, tuck it in. And then breathe. Fantastic, well done. Okay, now we're going to do the motion where the arms extended out a little bit. You sit back like this, sit back onto your heels. You're going to stretch the back and the shoulders and the arms. And then you move forward slightly, and then you bring the hips and the body forward. And then you look out into that cobra position. Keep the arms extended, keep the shoulders pressed down. Right, and then you sit back again, onto the heels. Stretch the arms and the shoulders out. That's it. And then you come forward again into the cobra position, keeping the knees always around about hip width apart. And you might feel some clicking in the back or flips in the front. It's okay, as long as it's not painful, it's okay. It's just the body moving and loosening up and opening up. Even I feel it, even in spite of the fact that I train and I move pretty much every single day of my life. Okay? Stretch it out. Forward, squeeze the bum as well if you want to, just to help. It helps to emphasize the stretch in the front. Keep those arms extended, keep the shoulders pressed when you're in that cobra position. Come back nice and slowly, sit back. Don't rush it, just keep it nice and easy and slow. Extend the arms, push, feel the stretch in the back and the shoulders. And then come forward, hips down, arms extended, shoulders pressed, look up. Ooh, if you want to make it a little bit harder, okay, then you can lift your feet up like this here. Squeeze the bum. Protect that lower back, and then back. We're going to do this one more time. Sit back, and you can sit back even further if you want to as well. Stretch it out, come back forward again, rock the hips down, squeeze the bum, lift those feet if you want. Stretch, push the arms straight, push the shoulders down, and then relax. Nice. Phew. Alrighty, so from here we're going to stand up, see? Now remember again, as much as we are trying to open up the body, get the body moving and that kind of stuff again, and if you have been training from beforehand, if you want to do this program, you want to try it out, just remember as well, this could also be a recovery session for you if you're regularly training. So this doesn't have to be just a mobility or stretching routine. It can be a recovery routine as well. because you're moving your body, you're actively stretching your body. Sometimes when we train for continuously for 8 weeks, 6 months, sometimes people don't rest for a year. So then these kinds of routines are pretty helpful and pretty useful as well. All right. So you're going to stand with your feet about hip width apart, and then we're going to try to move the body in as much of a natural way as we possibly can. You know what I mean? Without doing anything that's too out of the norm for what the body should be doing. But the problem is that we don't do as much as what we should do with our bodies. So for example, sitting on the floor, right? So sitting on the floor is not something that many people do. Most people sit in chairs and they don't stand for very long. So what we're going to do is we're going to get you down onto the floor and back up off the floor again, all right? So first things first, you bend your knees, you place your hands on the floor, you can lift your heels up off the floor. Then we're going to turn around and then sit, right? And then we're going to lie down, good. And then we're going to turn over to the side, back up again, move over onto your mat, your knees down on the floor, walk your way back up again, and then stand up. And then the next time we're going to sit down, we're going to turn in the opposite direction. Bend your knees, hands on the floor, turn so that you're sitting, lie back down, and then roll over to the side, tuck your knees in a little bit, place your hand onto the floor in front of you, hands on the floor, feet on the floor, move your way back over the mat, right, to the side slightly, that is, and then you're just going to walk your way back up, and then sit down, straighten the legs, and stand up. Okay, hands on the floor, that's it, turn yourself over, take a seat, roll your way back, lie down, turn over again, tuck your knees in slightly, place your hand on the floor, move yourself over, yeah, nice. And then all you do is you just walk back, sit back down. Now we're getting your hips close to the floor again. Okay, so now what we're going to do, as we do this, we might just hold in certain positions a little bit longer, just to get that stretch. Straighten the back, hold the spine, stand up. How does that feel? It's good for me, just opening up my body. The frogs are mating. Mating calls. It's mating time. Okay, sit down and then turn over to the side. Lie back. I forget which direction we should be going, but now I think it's to the left. Alright, roll over to the side. There you go. Alright, roll over to the side. There you go. Turn the body back over onto the mat. Walk back on your hands. Sit down now. Sit down for a moment. Now, if you can't sit down in this kind of position, then you just walk back on your hands, sit on your knees, and hold in that position until we stand up. Okay, and if you're in this position, then you just place your hands on the floor, push yourself back slightly, place your hands on the floor as much as you need to, straighten the legs, roll the spine slightly, and stand up straight. Okay. There's always a way to adapt it, but the most important thing is here we are moving in a way that our body is designed to move. Okay. Roll over to the side, to the back, sit down, lie back, tuck your knees in, bring your arm over, and then turn to the side, turn over, I should say, roll over, onto your knees. If you can't hold in that position, then onto sitting on your knees on the floor, sit like this for a couple of seconds, then just push yourself back, hold your hands on the floor, straighten your legs, roll the spine and stand up. Okay, back down again. Sit, turn, sit down, roll down, onto the floor, lie down that is, and then we're going to roll the knees over to the side, place your hand on the floor, opposite backhand on the mat, shift your body, walk in, sit in that squat position, that deep squat, straighten the legs, roll the spine, and roll the shoulders. Very nice. We're going to do this one more time. Okay. Hands on the floor, turn, sit, lie down. Oh, feels good. Bring the knees in, roll the body over, get into that bear crawl position, that is. walk back into this deep squat, and then stand up. Very nice. How did that feel? Okay, now we're going to walk out onto the mat, into a push-up position, all right? And then we're going to bring one leg forward and stretch our hips, one hip at a time. I'll show you some variations of that, just to help you along the way, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to walk out onto our hands. So we need to bend the knees slightly, drop the bum and then push the hips backwards a little bit as we come down closer to the floor. Then you come down onto the floor like this, and then one hand at a time, you walk forward until you're in the push-up position. You can place your knees onto the floor. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bring one foot forward like this as far as we possibly can. So as I said, we can bring one knee down, knees down onto the floor, and then just bring the leg forward. If you need to, use your arm to pull the foot forward. And you want to try to get the foot more or less in line with where the hands are. And then all we're going to do is we're going to just let the hip drop forward and stretch. And then you can sit back and hold it like this. You can lift the toes up. Try to keep the foot flat. And just move back as you comfortably can move back. Don't try to force anything. If you really don't have much range of motion here, then that's fine. So you hold wherever you can here, and then you move to wherever you can here. As long as the muscles are not shaking too much and vibrating too much, just hold it so that even if the leg is as straight as you can get it, that's perfect, and it might be stretching and it might be feeling that stimulation. That's fine, as long as it's comfortable. Alright, then bring the leg back, and then you switch to the opposite side. Bring the foot forward, and just let the hips sink into the floor. And then breathe into it. And now we're going to shift the hips backwards, try to keep that leg as straight as we can. As I mentioned, you can lift the toes if you want to, but try to keep the feet flat, or the foot flat, and then you just straighten the leg as much as you can, and you breathe into that now. Bring the body weight forward, and then place both your knees back down on the floor. Realign yourself so you're not getting yourself skewed and twisted. And then bring the opposite foot back forward again. Drop the hips into the floor. And then it's controlled movements. Remember, no rushing, just breathe now into it. 2, 3 deep breaths. And then you shift your body weight backwards again. And here. That's just actually going to emphasize the stretch a little bit more actually. So there you just, as I said before, keep your foot flat. Then bring the knee forward backwards. Switch legs. Sit forward. Shift the weight backwards, lift those toes if you want, just to get some more stretch in the hamstring. Shift the weight forward, bring the knee back. Okay. And how does that feel? Good, I trust. And now we're going to just sit in a bit of a stretching pose, static stretching pose, just to help us to, just to get a proper stretch out, all right, without moving it too much or anything like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move into that hurdler stretch, where you bring the knee out like this here. If your hips or your back are too tight or too hurting because you're trying to move into this position, then just bring this foot forward here, tuck it into the front here like this, so your knees out more or less in perpendicular position, and this leg straight in front of you, and then you can stretch and reach out with the opposite arm as far as you can. So it's good enough to be able to hold your toes here. If you can't, grab underneath the thigh, underneath the calf I should say, and pull yourself down, and if you can, reach with the opposite hand and try to get as much of a stretch in that position as you can. If you're in the hurdler position, same thing. Alright? Just holding here like this and stretching out like that. You can place your other hand onto the floor here to stabilize you. Because you know you're in a different position, your hips are positioned slightly differently, so you may need some more stabilization. And place the hand there. And just hold that position comfortably. Don't overdo it, don't try to force it too much. Okay. And then switch legs. And then these stretches are typically around 20 to 30 seconds long. So if you're doing this by yourself, without following the video, then you're typically doing these around 20 to 30 seconds. Stretch out as far as you can, reach for the toes as possible. If you're doing in this position here, tuck this foot in here, then try to reach out there, and then grab with the opposite arm and stretch and pull yourself down. And you're going to feel a different stimulus in this position because your back muscles on this side here, wherever the opposite arm is reaching from, you're going to feel extra stretch on the side of the back. Just hold that for around 20 to 30 seconds. Breathing, make sure you breathe. Stretching is a great form of meditation. Yeah. Bring your feet in together. Yes, heels together. Clasp your toes with your fingers and your hands. Right. And now I want you to just try to sit up as far as you can and let the shoulders drop into the floor. So you're sitting as far upright as you possibly can and just let the shoulders drop into the floor. Ooh, what happened to my voice? If you're struggling to hold this position, you can place one hand behind you and sit up straight as you can, with one hand grabbing onto the toes like this. Otherwise, hold that position and then squeeze the heels in together. Now push the heels in together and then sit up straight as you possibly can. Shoulders pushed down as far down as they possibly can be, and then looking up and straight ahead of you. And chin elevated slightly. Just push and breathe. And the harder you push the heels in together, you're going to notice those knees will start to open up more and more. The harder you push the feet together.